When it comes to HTML, the way that we indent our website is really helpful for helping for us to understand the content and understand the code. Indentation in HTML is not useful to the computer in any way. It's just there to help us as human beings, help us see the organization of it. So the rule is that if there's an element like the meta tag and it's inside of another element, you can see it's inside the head, which is here and here, then that element gets indented one more space than the parent element. So looking at the boilerplate code here, you can see, look, the whole thing is wrapped in an HTML tag. So technically it should be indented like this. Because the head is inside of HTML, it gets indented a little bit. And because title is inside of head, it gets indented twice. Now, I generally don't do this because I find that it makes everything indented more than it needs to be. So I like to keep the body and the head touching the edge, but that's just a personal preference. So let's create a new tag here. I'll create a header like this, and let's put an H1 inside it. So because the header here is inside of the body, you can see I've indented it a little bit. And because this H1 is inside of the header, that means that it needs to be indented also. So if I create an image tag here, doesn't really need a path right now, like this, you can see that I'm lining up the H1 and the image like this because the image tag is inside of the header. The image tag shouldn't be indented like this because it's not inside of the H1. The H1 ends right here. It is inside of the header. So the image tag should be like that. So let's take another look here. We'll go create a navigation item like this. And again, navigation is indented one time equal to, because it's inside the header. So we'll add another element in here, a UL. And because the UL is inside the nav, we indent it once more like that. And then we add some LIs in here. So let's add some A tags in here just for now. We'll make a navigation. Now, because the LI is in the UL, then it needs to be indented like that. So we end up with a navigation that looks kind of like this. Now you'll notice here that I actually have an A tag inside of the LI. And I've put them on one line because I personally find that that's easy to read. I don't have a problem with that. But if you have troubles understanding what's going on here, you can definitely go like this and indent the A tag and move the closing LI down to the next line if you'd like. So that's just a different way to write it. One more example about indentation is, let's say I have a paragraph. A paragraph like this, and then inside that I have a strong tag that's wrapping around some text. Now you'll notice here I can't indent this. And the reason I can't indent it is because it's not actually, it's surrounded by text. It's not surrounded by other elements. So when there are elements in line within text, we don't need to indent those. Only elements that are immediately inside of other elements do we indent. So this is basically how indentation works in HTML. So whenever there's an element and it's inside of another element, it gets indented one more level than the previous element.